All right. So we have Tatiana here with us today. So Tatiana is one of Izzy's students from stage 5, all about the dark feminine, the dark masculine, and bringing in the Kali energy and kind of initiating on this path of Tantra. And Tatiana and Izzy work together on Kali retreats. And so Tatiana is here today, and we're going to dive into the dark masculine, dark feminine, and bringing in this energy of Kali energy and more things. So, Tatiana, thank you so much for being here. It's amazing having you.
Thank you. Yeah. And it's awesome to be here. It's always so fun to be connected by these different people and be able to share these experiences that I think really impact our lives. And yeah, like you said, I I learn from Izzy. I work with Izzy and also for many years kind of diving into my own exploration of yoga and tantra and this whole kind of tantric path, and yeah, just seeing how all of these teachings kind of like integrate into my life as well. So I'm really excited to share a little bit today. um yeah, I guess I could just dive right in into kind of the way that I define Tantra and some of these like main energies. But I also was thinking we could move into like a somatic practice. I don't know what you guys did for the first 15 minutes, but that's kind of like how I usually like to get started. So yeah. Okay, that's good. Sorry.
Perfect.
Perfect.
Sounds great. Yeah, manic practices are perfect.
Awesome. Cool. So, yeah, let's all just go ahead and wherever you are, just start to maybe close your eyes if that feels safe for you. Um, just really bringing your full attention, your full energy here to this moment. And we can start to deepen our experience of this moment here and now by deepening the breath and just start by taking a nice deep breath in through the nose and then sighing it out slowly through the mouth. Beginning again, inhaling, really filling up, bringing all of your awareness, all of your attention here to your body. And exhaling like you were fogging up a mirror in front of you, nice and slow with a sigh, all the way out. And keep going just like that, inhaling all the way, filling up, bringing a little bit more lift in the spine, a little bit, again, more attention, awareness on the fullness of your breath and your body. And then exhaling, releasing nice and slow. And last time with this controlled breath, inhaling all the way, breathing in as much air, as much new life, new energy, new prana in, filling your heart, and then just slowly releasing out with a sigh all the air from your lungs, clearing, making space, an empty vessel. You just allow your breath to come back toward natural. No need to change it or control it anymore. Just letting your awareness come to scan the body, just noticing whatever's present, whatever you've arrived with today, and just allowing it. welcoming it, letting yourself experience whatever sensations, just as an observer, as a witness, and allowing the breath to continue to be an anchor. So when your mind wanders, you can bring it back. And just taking another couple moments in this stillness, in this emptiness, in this pure conscious awareness. And in Tantra, we call that Shiva energy, just being very aware, pure consciousness. You can stay in the stillness for another couple breaths. Then we'll begin to invite in a little bit more movement. So you can place your hands on your knees or on your thighs just for some grounding, and the soles of the feet on the earth. And again, with the breath, we're going to just start to bring little circles into our spine. So your inhale can kind of bring you forward, opening the chest. And the exhale, you'll round your back. And just let yourself kind of move in a circle. Those Sufi grinds, and with your breath inhaling forward, exhaling back. It really doesn't matter if you follow that pattern, just allow yourself to move organically and breathe. And you can really start to use your awareness and your attention to focus on the different energy points in the body, starting at the base, at the Muladhara, at the base of the spine, where they say that our Kundalini, our life force energy lies. So bringing that awareness to the darkest, the lowest energy center. You can even kind of squeeze at the base by squeezing like you're doing a Kegel, and allowing your inhale to be with the squeeze and just noticing the base. Just let that energy to rise as it naturally does. As you move your spine in circles, the energy rises in spirals. Kundalini rising. You can imagine this energy moving with your breath as you inhale to your navel. You can exhale and imagine the energy rising to the solar plexus, opening that area a little bit more. And the next big breath into the heart, opening. So we meditate on the heart, the bridge between the lower, the darker energy centers, the heavier, more dense energy centers, into the lighter, the higher consciousness centers. You can bring your awareness to your throat and clear with an exhale, and bring the awareness to the third eye, that inward facing eye, your intuition. Imagining that energy rising all the way up from the base, up now through the crown of the head, moving all along the spine, even outside of you, your ability to cultivate your energy and how it affects the world outside of you. And you can begin to find that stillness again, stopping with your circles. You can open up your palms on your thighs, a sign of receptivity. Start to imagine yourself as an empty vessel again, once again, moving out of that creative, that dynamic energy, that which we call Shakti and Tantra, and into that, again, stillness. And we can bring to mind the visualization of a yin and a yang symbol, these two primordial energies, the Shiva and the Shakti, that pure awareness and that creative life force, and how together, when they are in harmony, the light and the dark, they create one. And this is the foundation of the non-dual tantric teachings that I'm gonna dive into a little bit more. So you can sit with this kind of visualization of the yin and the yang for just another breath. And then whenever you're ready, you can begin to come back, bringing your awareness outside of the body and back to the room around you, to the screen. And yeah, just inviting the presence to be here. And yeah, so like Chelsea said, I I found myself on the tantric path and was guided to meet Isabel, who was supposed to be here, who ended up becoming a teacher and a collaborator. And we were doing these Kali retreats and um, really diving into some shadow work, I would say, which was a newer thing for me because I had already been a yoga teacher for many years and was really, I would say, embodied in what the archetype of this like light feminine, so the love and the light, and really just seeing love in everything and feeling kind of like this ethereal energy. But then I went through something that kind of awoke the anger in me. And then all of a sudden I realized I had all this anger, and it was right around when um, Izzy invited me to do the Kali retreats. And so these retreats bring forward the energy of Kali, who embodies both the light feminine and the dark feminine, in that she is, in Hindu mythology, she is known as the mother, the great mother. She's the one who birthed the universe. And um, she's also known as the destroyer because she also has the power to destroy the universe. But the kind of myth of Kali, where she is, um, depicted in all of these different idols as standing over Shiva's kind of like prostrate body, um, is not the myth of this destroyer who just wants to like kill the man, or like a man hater. It's really actually a depiction of the beautiful dance of Shiva and Shakti, and the light feminine, the dark feminine, the light masculine, and the dark masculine. Um, and it is because Shiva, of course, is the embodiment of that first primordial energy, the energy of pure conscious awareness, and is now kind of known as like masculine energy. But that Shiva being embodied here under Kali. So Kali, as the creator of the universe, she she hates to see her children in anger and in betrayal and hurting one another and doing all the things that we do in this age of quote Kal Yuga. And according to Tantra, there are many ages, but the ages are cyclical. And in the beginning, people were really truthful. And this is the age of Sat Yuga, and they embodied unconditional love. And these are like the pure embodiment of Kali's children. And then over the ages, we degrade and we get to the final age, the age of Kali Yuga, which is this age of destruction and deceit, and kind of like a lot of the things that you would say you probably see um, about society, people being misled by illusion. So the myth is depicting Kali ready to destroy the universe because she's so upset at her children for getting to this place where they're killing each other and deceiving one another and whatnot. And in an act of sacrifice, Shiva lays down for the universe. And seeing this, Kali heart opens and she allows the universe to continue on, and we move into, again, the age of Sat Yuga, the age of truth. So Kali's all about cutting to the truth, and a lot of these teachings had to do with kind of the dance, the polarity of the masculine and the feminine, the Shiva and the Shakti, as we again say in Tantra. So diving a little bit deeper into some of these practices and embodiments, being able to see how in everyday life we all embody these energies, the light, the dark, the feminine, the masculine. And once we understand kind of how the polarity works of these things, we can become aware of which kind of embodiment we're living in, and we can um, become more integrated in our shadows, and with our light, so that you don't have to come to a place like where I was so imbalanced on being in the light that it really had to go into this place of um, processing a lot of unexpressed anger and whatnot. So you can think about polarity, and the light feminine and the dark feminine and the light masculine and the dark masculine, like in a quadrant. So in the first quadrant, it's going to be like the light feminine. And the light feminine is really this kind of like mother, this virgin archetype, this really angelic, like, again, sees love in everything, has a lot of power and just vulnerability, and is, yeah, I would say just kind of like the embodiment of a good girl archetype, um, or a good mother, that type of thing. And then below that, you'll have the dark feminine. And so when I differentiate between the light and the dark, what the differentiation really is about what is conscious and what is unconscious. And so what is light is what's conscious, and what is dark is going to be more in the shadow. So that's like more of the shadow work. And these are the archetypes or the traits that tend to be more suppressed, and are more like taboo in our society. So the dark feminine has a lot to do with a depth of feeling. Um, she is the in Kali, like the embodiment of the void, like the vastness of emotion, um, of creation, um, and has this kind of like in insatiable quality. So it's almost like, yeah, a void that can never be filled. And so that's why oftentimes the dark feminine you'll see embodied as this kind of like seductress, or this like succubus type, Um, but it doesn't have to be so dark in that, like, we all have these different parts of ourselves. According to these teachings, we've all lived like many lives. So we've all probably lived in the embodiment of um, the darkest, shadiest thing that you could think of, because humankind have been around for a long time. And so if you're thinking about it from that point of view, or even just from like an epigenetic point of view, like if you think about it from a really like scientific perspective, like we are our ancestors' DNA moved forward through um, evolution. So inside of us, we all have, these light parts, what we're aware of, what we're conscious of, what we put out, our personality. And then we also have this like unconscious, and the unconscious, as 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 I was saying, it comes from our DNA, it comes from our ancestors, it comes from, parts of ourselves that we suppress and we're not really aware of. So in any case, the dark feminine is, again, this kind of insatiable energy. And and even though it is, quote, dark, it does have this positive quality of being able to also kind of initiate the masculine to greatness through her desire for more, like this never-ending desire to have more. Um, And this is where, you'll see the archetype of like the priestess, who is a really integrated light feminine and dark feminine, because she has this ethereal, like angelic, unconditional loving qualities, but also just this, um, yeah, energy of asking others to step up through this desire for more. So that's kind of the feminine side on the left there of the quadrant, and then in the upper corner is the light masculine. And our light masculine is again going with that Shiva energies, like someone who is very much in pure presence, in pure awareness. You can really balance the dance of it, of the Shakti energy, by just giving full awareness and full presence, and just being a witness, being a loving witness. So that's something that we actually play with in the retreats, is um, allowing the men to kind of embody this light masculine, where they are to just sit in pure awareness and witness, while the woman goes into her pure dark feminine and just allows utter emotion to come through, and whatever wants to come through. And the light masculine just sits and witnesses, and the dark femme gets to go into her depth of emotion. And there's something really healing about letting this like tornado of a windstorm of emotional dynamic um, energy be witnessed and just seen um, by the masculine. And so the light masculine is really someone who you see is kind of like beyond the ego and really embodies an energy of the heart space. Someone who is really kind of overly in their light masculine is not going to be connected to their lower or their upper energy centers so much. They're going to be really floating in this lovey heart space, which can make for a really lovely person. But in terms of polarity with the feminine, it doesn't often uh, allow for like this groundedness that really helps, again, the polarity of the dynamicness of the feminine and the light feminine, again, also being in the pure heart space. So what does bring kind of a really contrasted polarity is the dark masculine. And the dark masculine is, I think, embodied in like the man who, or not even just man. Again, when I say like masculine and feminine, we all have these energies within us. We're not, none of us are just feminine, none of us are just masculine. We have all these energies within us. Um, so anyway, the dark masculine is this like cutting through, like no bullshit, like taking control, protective, provider kind of energy. Um, and yeah, and overall is going to be in potentially like within the dark masculine, there are just like within the dark feminine, there are the qualities that are seen to be as potentially, negative, like the desire for more, but that actually initiate something positive. So that shadow aspect of the dark masculine of maybe being controlling or um, being like too cutting can also initiate um, and guide, the feminine if that's something that is needed. So anyway, that builds out the four quadrants, and in terms of being able to dance with polarity, knowing, when somebody is acting from their place of their light feminine or their light masculine, or if they're coming from the dark or masculine or the dark feminine, you can know kind of how to balance this in your relationship. So yeah, I just shared a bunch. I would be, if you have any questions or anything that you want to jump in and share, or anything that's come up for you throughout, I'm happy to have this be a little bit more interactive. So yeah.
I'm sure this is not the case, but when you said that kind of knowing where someone is acting from can show you how to balance it, that makes it seem like it's all in one person, but I'm guessing that's not how it actually is. Because, like, let's say I'm interacting with a partner and I'm like thinking, oh, he's in his dark masculine. Is it now on me to be in my, I'm just guessing, light feminine? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, no, I mean, I wouldn't say anything is on you to do anything like that. I think it's just more of knowing where someone is moving from. It's not necessarily have to change how you are at all. It's also just becoming aware of where you're moving from and maybe why there might be more resistance. If, for example, you're both moving from your dark masculine, or you're like both in a masculine state of mind, then that's a quite a big, imbalance, and there may not be a lot of polarity there. So you'll see that, happens in relationships often, where, for example, a lot of things in modern life kind of make it so that women aren't often in this kind of like really light feminine surrendered like state, or even in their dark feminine, or even in any feminine state. They're in masculine state because they're, boss babe working on their business and, working on working out and doing weights or whatever, and it's kind of like perpetually in these different states that create a masculine shield. And there's also trauma that happens that kind of creates this, again, masculine shield is what Isabel has called it, and what is basically where, you know, where a woman is no longer like relaxing into her feminine, and she's projecting more of a masculine energy, and this creates an imbalance oftentimes in relationship, because then potentially this woman is attracting men who are seeking more, or maybe in their light feminine, they're looking for a provider, they're looking for that they are maybe, again, subconsciously seeking someone who's in their masculine because they need guidance, they need direction. And I think you can see that pretty often in relationships. Um, does that answer
Yeah,
your question?
it does. And I'm also thinking of like what, and you probably are going to get to this, but like what is like a nice balance? Because if someone's in their dark masculine and they're kind of being cutting and controlling, like it seems like maybe being in the light feminine is not great, because then don't you just get like walked over and trampled on?
Yeah, and again, it's about like observing all of these energies too within your life and seeing how you can balance so that again you feel whole in and of yourself. But kind of just to speak to like what you're saying, basically the balance there, I mean, it's just something, because they're two polar energies, they just seem to attract. So even though it may not be like, quote, like the healthiest, it is what oftentimes happens, is that the controlling, person in their dark masculine will get together with someone in their very light feminine who's kind of like open and unconditional love and open to like guidance. Um,
This is
so
me. So like, how do you fix that?
Well, I would say, first of all, knowing it and the awareness is like the number one thing. And that's, again, what I'm saying is that when you become aware of it, then you can start to notice how, the partners that, or the people that you're seeking, are maybe exhibiting some of these like more shadowy aspects of the masculine, and then being like, okay, well, is this a path I want to go down again, or maybe I seek something different? Or even, for you, if that's like, this is how this is me, this is how I am, but do you want to be that way? Like maybe doing things, more practices, or things where you're integrating more of your dark feminine or your dark masculine even, and there are like practices to invoke all of these different energies. So I was gonna move into that next, but that's basically it. So like if you want to bring forward more of the dark masculine, there are like healthy practices to do. But I'm gonna go through all four of them. But
As
does that,
women,
yeah,
like,
totally.
oh, okay. Okay, yeah, cool. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, just as a human, it's like I said, these energies exist within all of us, both masculine and feminine. Hmm. Anyone else? Cool.
Well, wait, I have a question. So when you come into, let's say, integration of your
Mhm.
inner light and dark, is there polarity?
Well, it's kind of like what I was depicting earlier with the yin and the yang. It's like, um, ultimately, like within self and within Tantra, like the aim of Tantra is to bring together, and to become one, to become whole, in unity. And that is in unity with self, and that is in unity with the beloved, with partner. But it is about, like, with those two polar energies together, when in harmony, they make one. So as much as you can find harmony with the energies, that's when you'll find wholeness. I think. I think. These are teachings of non-dual tantra. So, and yeah, and things like trauma, blocks our energy, and a lot of tantric practices like the breath work, like, different meditations, asana, all of these things, like, these help us purify the body, so they clear blocks, so we can more easily become aware of all of the subtle energies that are within us, and balance them and harness them, cultivate our energy. So yeah, so like I said, with the light feminine, there are, well, with all of them, there are different practices to evoke each kind of energy. So if you feel like you want to integrate more of a certain energy, then, yeah, I'll just kind of put this off. But, so for the light feminine, some practices to invoke this energy would be dance, creative expression, spending time in nature. Also doing things like bathing, like taking a bath, like just self-care type rituals. And for the dark feminine, um, some practices would be diving into your own shadow work. So just kind of finding out, more about yourself, if there's any taboos or any kind of things that you feel that you repress within yourself. And then just being really truthful, really honest, and illuminating those places. Sexual energy practices, and dancing, womb work, exploring repressed emotions, rage ceremonies. And for the light masculine, uh, things that are going to bring forward this energy are going to be things that are focused and bring more clarity. So, like making to-do lists and goal setting, and becoming, really clear on your values, and practicing meditation, just sitting meditation. Another, aspect would be to lead through service, or getting involved in more service activities. So these are all kind of ways to embody more of this light masculine. And the dark masculine, again, uh, it's going to be kind of feeding that warrior spirit. So doing kind of like intense physical activities, martial arts, even just doing things like facing fears, or, yeah, fire ceremonies. These are all like very, masculine practices I'll bring forward. more of that warrior spirit, the dominance. Um, yeah, that another aspect of the dark feminine or the dark masculine is setting boundaries. So being able to just again cut through bullshit, be very clear, um, and taking control. So say that you are someone who leans to be in your very light feminine. It might be beneficial to integrate some of these dark masculine practices, like yeah, into life, so that you become a little bit, more integrated. Yeah. And all of this, is just like all of the light, the dark, the shadows. It's all part of life. It's the dance between the two. The dance between the two, the interplay, is again within us. It's within all of our relationships, and knowing how to harmonize and being aware of the energies, the subtle awareness comes through knowing yourself. And all of this, all of the tantric practices are really just tools to know ourselves more deeply, to guide us to more self-realization. And um, yeah, in knowing ourselves, we come to know each other and everything else more deeply. And yeah, ultimately leading to a place of um, expansion and freedom, because we have the ability to direct our lives with understanding of more subtle energies. That's kind of the premises of some of the tantric teachings that picked up along the way. Mm. So one of the questions that I would have is, like, if you reflect, and you kind of already shared, Carrie, but if you reflect on your life, like how do you see these energies manifesting in your life? Um, yeah.
I would definitely say that I spend most of my time in the light feminine, but then at times I will explode into the dark feminine before going and then go back to the light feminine. So I'm light, 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 dark, back to light, and the cycle repeats. And that's not super great, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, definitely. I can relate.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say that the more that you're probably going to be dropping into this states of like the what you're saying is the dark, like coming out really strongly, is, the more that you're repressing things. So as much as you can continue to express in whatever ways feel most healthy for you, I think that keeps us from having bigger, like, explosions into kind of these, like, dark places. But yeah, also, you know, again, integrating kind of the elements of the things that keep this them balanced. So what balances, maybe the light masculine, being just sitting with yourself, witnessing yourself, giving yourself pure awareness, being in the heart, you know. Um, so that's what I would say about that. Mhm. Um, are there so the other part of it is that if there's parts of yourself that you repress or that you shame, if you resist it, you know, whatever you're resisting is just probably going to get stronger, and be more suppressed. So, um, if you look at your life and you say you don't like it when you get angry or you show emotion, then you're resisting it, and it's going to create more suppression, more avoidance, rather than allowing and just being um, loving and gentle with yourself, like, okay, I'm having emotion right now, like that's okay. It's like, the more you allow the emotion to move through naturally rather than suppressing, um, or shaming yourself for having it, the more you'll uh, be able to not, you won't be repressing as much, basically.
I get that, and I think that is helpful. But I'm also thinking like I'm fully aware that I'm very attracted to like the dark masculine energy. How do I phrase this? I know I'm consciously aware that I'm drawn into that. And I'm also aware that this gets me into situations that are not good for me. Um, and I know that. Like I know it, but I still gravitate towards it.
Well, I think the awareness, again, is key, and knowing that if you want to potentially like take a different path, then you have that ability, and you have the ability to, just like you spotted that you naturally want to go to this person, you can also, decide for yourself that you want something different. Um, and choose to maybe put yourself more in a place where you are not embodying so many of the qualities that you feel are attracting this dark masculine energy, or the desire for the dark masculine energy, like looking at the places in yourself that, why are you attracting this type of man? And again, just using all of these things as tools for self inquiry. Does that make sense? Um, yeah. And again, just using all of these different concepts and looking at your life and being able to kind of notice the places in yourself where do they feel balanced? Where do you feel in harmony, and where do you feel imbalanced? And within all of this light and this dark, you can explore your own relationship with control, with surrender, with being in your heart, with compassion, and with assertiveness. And so, as we explore the light and the dark, we are just exploring a more holistic life, a whole person life, because we are embracing both the light and the dark uh, as being important for harmony. And that is one reason why Tantra doesn't, you know, there are a lot of taboo things that are within Tantra, but um, Tantrics believe that you can find the path to enlightenment on the light path, on the dark path. It's all an experience of life. And the most whole path is going to be the fully integrated path, with both light and dark, the full spectrum. And that is the tantric path, to taste of all of life, the full spectrum of living, um, and to be with both the light and the dark, and to honor it all as divine. No, it's all part of it.
I have a burning question.
Ask it.
Okay, so in my community in St. Petersburg, Florida, the like tantric leaders basically I you're gonna see I'm triggered by this. They basically have sex parties. They don't call them that. They call them tantra. Sorry, one of my best friends is dating like the tantra leader of my community. And they have what are called tantra temples, and there's like stages, but at the end of the night it's like if people just want to have sex with each other, like the only thing that is important is consent. And so whatever they want to do, they can do as long as people consent to it. And okay, so there's that. And then I'm on this spiritual dating in a spiritual dating group, and someone identified themselves as Tantra monogamous. And I was like, can you explain? Because I was like, I feel like that means like you want a partner, but then you want to be able to like also have sex with anyone else you want. So my question to you is polyamory and or multiple sexual partners part and parcel of Tantra?
I would say if you're practicing a classical tantra, it's probably the opposite.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I guess I could have like spoken a little bit more about this in the beginning, but tantra itself is such a convoluted word. I think it just means so many different things to people, and most people these days kind of associate it with sex. The way that I use Tantra, and the way that, is, I think, a classical definition of Tantra is, a teaching. Tantra came out of the Vedas. The Vedas being, one of the oldest spiritual texts where, um, the Yoga Sutras kind of stemmed from. And within the Vedas, there were the Tantras, and then the teachings came out of the Tantras, and the teachings help us expand and liberate our consciousness. And that is the kind of classical definition of Tantra, and the one that I like to hold in my work. But yeah, I do know that Tantra and now I will say that I also have like lived in California and been to Tantra festivals, and like I would say that Neo Tantra is very much like integrated with classical Tantra now, and it's, you never know what you're going to find if you go to a Tantra workshop. You just never know.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I got into an argument online with someone the other day because they had posted, again, in a spiritual dating group, that it was actually the most dangerous thing to do was to have sex in private with a partner. That was the most emotionally, physically, spiritually damaging thing you can do. And I'm not going to engage with these people anymore, because I can get into it and whatever, it leads to crazy places. But that is what this person said. He has like naked dating events, and I don't know. This is St. Pete, Chelsea. Okay. This is St. Pete, just to like let you know if you're
Yeah.
like, trying to like recruit from the community. There's a not everyone, but there's people in like leadership positions in the spiritual community who are like this way.
Yeah, I mean, I know what you mean. I've seen it too. Like there's I know what I know the type. And also I would say just taking like a fully tantric perspective that um for me, I see it all as divine. If that's what they would think is divine, then that's great for them. And to me, ultimately, I would say that if you look into some of the like more original teachings in Tantra, um, they talk a lot about how sacred sex is, and the power in what happens when we come together sexually. Actually, I have some notes on this that I was literally just looking at before this. Yeah, and how first of all, everything is recorded. Everything that we do, every intention, and that one of the most kind of karmically intense things that we can do is have sex with somebody. And ultimately, there's such a huge like energy transfer that's occurring. So if you're saying that, you can't be a tantric if you're not poly, or I'm not sure exactly what you're saying. Like that's absolutely not true. Tantra is about unity, and oftentimes, you know, is if you're truly a tantric, then you believe that every sexual experience is one of, the most sacred and the most high. And there's a power to create with, the energy that is exchanged. And that in and of itself is incredibly sacred. And um, yeah, there's different teachings on partners and celibacy and semen retention and all these different things that you can dive into. But ultimately, there's many paths and many lineages and many belief systems, and you kind of just have to figure out what's right for you. And yeah, I know that I've been, in different situations where I was mistaken for something because I had Tantra, attached to my name. And ultimately, I can just try to like educate people in what I believe true Tantra is. And also not be super attached to that word, and attached to what anyone else is doing. Um, so that's kind of what I would say about that.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, obviously you can tell my bias against like sex
Tantra.
and orgies and stuff like that. And I don't know why he's calling them tantra temples, whatever. Um, but
It's
like,
common.
yeah,
Yeah.
I I personally believe that, sex is sacred and there is so much energy exchanged. So it's like when I see these parties and like when people are all having sex together, it's like, whoa, that to me that seems like it could be harmful because what energies are you taking on with all of that? Especially like if you don't even know these people very well. Like what are you really getting in? Okay. That's all I'm gonna say about that. We can move on.
I get it. Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
Cool. Well, Tatiana, I'm so grateful for your transmission and
Mhm.
Carrie, do you have any other questions about this or about anything we talked about today?
Um, so what, like, I am interested in it. Like, where would you point someone? Like, what readings or texts would you recommend for a beginner
Totally.
that are more true to like what you're saying, like the place you're saying you come from, not like the neo sex party?
I got it. Totally. Yeah, I think so. Personally, I always give people this book, and it's a little bit like kind of deep, but it's written by this Swami in India. It's called Kundalini Tantra. And basically, it's like a handbook that teaches about Kundalini. And it has a program like month by month for awakening the chakras, and different practices for each. And I have it as a PDF. So if you want, I can connect with you. I can just send it to you. Or you can buy the book.
Yeah.
And yeah, and I also I work with people, and I would say follow Isabel. She's a beautiful source of information. She definitely has like an integrated approach from classical to neo tantra. I wouldn't just say, I would say that nothing these days is absolutely classical unless you're going to go to India and like be with somebody in an ashram who is truly, a tantric master. But there is, different ways to learn about the science of tantra and kundalini, and I think that, yeah, the book Kundalini Tantra is a nice place to start. And yeah, feel free to follow me. And I hold retreats. I would say going on a Kali retreat would be um, blast you open. And it's blasted me open many times and
What's your
been
Instagram?
incredible somatic healing for me. Hmm?
Oh, what's your Instagram?
Yeah, my Instagram is Tatiana underscore transcends. And I can just drop it in the chat too.
Okay. Yeah, so I think I found Kundalini Tantras by Swami Satyananda
Yes,
Saras.
yes, yes.
Okay, I found it.
Mhm. Yeah.
Beautiful. So we have something we love doing at the end of these. So
Okay.
if you want to rub your hands together, generating electricity, and we'll give Tatiana a big ashtray. Ashtray.
Ashtray.
Sending
Yay.
you love, gratitude. Thank you, thank you, thank you.